And now, an excerpt from my novel, Death at Heart's Desire, Halloween edition. In Death at Heart's Desire, former Olympic equestrian and magazine publisher Ivy Snow strives to fashion a new life for herself and her teenage twins, while bigamous ex-husband Skeleton serves hard time. Her peaceful existence is short-lived. After a daring prison escape that leaves a river of death in its wake, Skeleton hatches a diabolical plan to put Ivy in her rightful place, the graveyard. With the help of her psychic young daughter JC and dashing paramour, Detective John Garrett, Ivy tries desperately to untangle Bart's web of destruction before it's too late. A disembodied voice filled the room with words that shook me to the core. Convicted bigamist Bartholomew Skelton has escaped from the Rockville State Penitentiary. My coffee mug slipped from my hand and smashed to pieces on the kitchen countertop. I must be hearing things. I caught my breath and listened intently for the next words. Skelton, one of Philadelphia's most prominent criminal defense attorneys, escaped the minimum security prison while serving a 5-year sentence. Skelton was married simultaneously to former Olympic equestrian and magazine publisher Ivy Snow and world champion saddle seat horsewoman Marion Fallon. He was last seen on work detail in the south field of the facility's farm at about 5 p.m. yesterday. If anyone knows the whereabouts of Bartholomew Skelton, please contact the Pennsylvania State Police. This is Jane Jefferson reporting for WPSA-FM News. I stood frozen. It couldn't be. My worst nightmare. I lived in dread of the day that man got out of jail, knowing that the first thing on his agenda would be to get revenge on me. My mind echoed with Bart's last words as they took him into custody. "I'll get this for you, Ivy, you bitch." Being the complete narcissist that Bart is, he could never accept the fact that he landed in jail because he committed a crime. Oh no. He blamed me because I had the audacity to turn him in. What should I do? I looked around at the floor-to-ceiling windows that graced every room at Little Paddocks. Except for the alarm system hooked up to the doors, our farmhouse was a virtual sieve. Anyone with any amount of determination could break in. I glanced at the closet that held my gun safe. My only firearm is a Beretta 12 gauge used for sporting clays. I know I should have a handgun, but I never got around to buying one. Now I would have to move fast to protect myself and the twins. Not that I thought that Bart would harm them, but there's always the chance that they could get caught in the crossfire. The phone was ringing in the background. I finally snapped out of my trance and picked up the receiver. Detective John Garrett's rich, deep voice came over the line, instantly sending a wave of relief through my body. "Hello, Ivy. I suppose you heard about Bart. Are you okay?" "Yes. Well, no. I just heard about it on the radio, and I'm still trying to get over the shock. How did this happen, John?" "Prepare yourself, Ivy. It's really bizarre. From what we can piece together, Bart was out working in the fields, as he does most days, when he met up with Samantha Gethin, who picked him up in her Subaru Forester, and they simply drove away." "Who is Samantha Gethin?" "She's the wife of the Reverend Jeremiah Gethin, chaplain at Rockville." "What? What does she have to do with Bart?" "She helped him escape. Or maybe it would be more accurate to say that they escaped together. Apparently they concocted a plan while she was ministering to him as part of her husband's Finding Religious program at the prison." "You've got to be kidding me." "No, I'm afraid not. Bart must have sweet-talked her into believing he was in love with her." "Well, that doesn't surprise me. I know how persuasive he can be in that department, I said, still trying to recover from his betrayal of me. As crazy as it sounds, Mrs. Geffen met up with Bart while he was on unsupervised farm detail, and he simply got in the car with her, and off they went. So much for minimum security prisons. Bart can turn on the charm all right, but to talk a preacher's wife into helping him escape from jail, wow. Actually, nothing Bart does should surprise me. He's got balls of steel. What are the police doing about it? We put out an all-points bulletin. We're setting up roadblocks on all the major highways and checkpoints at the airport and bus station. That's all we can do for now. But Ivy, I'm worried about you. I'm calling Sentinel Security to come out and tighten things up. Also, I'm bringing out my Luger. That 12 gauge you have won't be much help if Bart suddenly tries to break in. I sat down on the counter stool and tried to process it all. I never felt so isolated. It was as if I could hear the walls breathe. Little Paddocks has always been like a safe haven for me. Now I felt trapped. My thoughts turned to Jason and JC. Thank heaven the twins were in New York with Sloane. She was treating them to a Taylor Swift concert to celebrate their 14th birthday. I needn't worry about them when they are with Sloane. She has got superior survival skills. I punched in her number on my speed dial. Hi, Sloane, how's it going? Great, Ivy. The kids and I are having a wonderful time. Just ate hot dogs from the vendor's cart at Rockefeller Center. They got a big kick out of it. Said there's nothing like it in Wellington. No kidding. What's up with you? Brace yourself, Sloane. I have big news. Bart escaped from prison yesterday. The silence on the other end of the phone seemed to last for an eternity. I thought maybe I'd lost the signal. Finally, she spoke. This is very bad, Ivy. You've got to protect yourself. You know Bart. He'll be determined to make good on his threat for revenge. He's coming after you. You know that. John's on his way over to tighten things up around here. Maybe you should ask John to stay with you until Bart's caught. We're not quite in that place in our relationship. There's no time like the present, she said with a smile in her voice. Don't worry about the kids. They can stay here with me until this thing's over. JC hasn't said anything about having visions of Bart, has she? No, she hasn't. Good. Keep a close eye on her, Sloane. Her psychic ability can kick in at any time. If she gets real quiet on you, that's the first sign. I'll call you right away if anything happens. What have you told the kids about Bart? You know, about his not being around or never hearing from him? I told them that he's in the Witness Protection Program. You told them what? I told them he had turned state's evidence against some mobster who wanted to hire him as his defense attorney. I told them that he had to assume a new identity to protect us all. Wow, Ivy, that's quite a story. The kids bought that? Yes, you have to remember that they were much younger when all this came down. They would have believed anything I told them. The witness protection story is now just a part of their lives. They never question it. As a matter of fact, they think of Bart as a hero when they think of him at all. But what are you going to do when they learn the truth? I don't know. That's where this genius idea of mine falls apart. I was in such a state of confusion when I concocted that story. I didn't give enough thought as to how they would be affected if Bart were to come back into their lives. I guess I'll have to cross that bridge when I come to it. Sloane Parker frowned. Well, you better start thinking about it now before all this hits the fan. I know, you're right. Oh, Sloane, I've got to go. I see someone coming up the drive. It must be John and the security company. Be sure before you open the door. Okay. Kiss the twins for me. I will. And Ivy, please be careful. The Sentinel security guys set to task laying out their plans for increased coverage. John put his hand on my elbow and guided me toward the kitchen. Ivy, I need to talk to you, he whispered in my ear. I felt my heart starting to race. Was it his close proximity or anxiousness about what he had to tell me? He turned around to face me, his eyes burrowing deep into mine. He kept his hand on my arm. Ivy, there's been a development in the case. I took a deep breath. Samantha Gethin's dead body has been found floating in the Ashland River.